Yesterday, I had a very disturbing news.
What
Very
about?
disturbing news. And before I say anything, I'd like to press home the fact that if it had not been for free SHS, a lot of young people wouldn't have gone to secondary school.
That's true.
That is a fact.
That's true.
If it had not been for free SHS, a lot of young people, boys and girls, would have never gone to secondary school. Their closing point would have been JHS.
Exactly.
So, Mr. President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, thank you for free SHS. Matthew Poku Prempeh, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwah, Director General, Ghana Education Service, thank you for free SHS and all the partners. We're grateful. But yesterday, here's my disturbing news that I heard. So, there's a school called the Accra Wesley Girls School. It's a day school. And the pictures you're seeing on your screen is supposed to be a hostel for the girls. These are 16, 17-year-olds, maximum 18-year-olds. This is where some of them sleep. They cook their own food. They live their own lives. There's no house master, house mistress. They do what they like on their own. Not because it is their choice, but because the school is a day school. And some of them have had to travel from Kumasi, from Western region, from the Eastern region. So accommodation is out of the equation. Their parents are thinking, okay, my child is collecting 750 Ghana cedis from me every term to pay for accommodation. And this is the accommodation that they are sleeping in. So for a year, it is 1,400. And this is the accommodation they are sleeping in. So 16, 17-year-old girls possibly picking up all manner of lifestyles because there's no check.
There's no check.
If you when this is right around the Olgo Road somewhere. So there are beer bars there.
Exactly.
There are people who are smoking around there. There are people who are living as if everything is okay.
Yeah.
So these girls possibly could be picking up this. Look at it.
Yeah.
For those of us who went to secondary school and anybody who's gone to a boarding school before, you know that your time is regimented.
Exactly.
You wake up at 5, you clean, you do some house chores, you go and take your bath, you can do the morning devotion, and then you go to the dining hall, you have your food, you come back to the dormitory, and then you go back to class, you start early prep, and then you follow with the regular classes, you come for lunch, and then you go back to school, and then maybe you can go for siesta, and then you go for prep. So your life is guided, and there's always a housemaster or house mistress who is shepherding you. In that shepherding, there's some training, discipline. They are raising you and forming you into a certain thing. What will these girls have after 3 years when they are going home? And mind you, these are second years, so they have gone through this mess for a full year. Now, I understand that somebody who got them the place from within the school had a problem with the landlord of the place they were living earlier. So they moved them to this location and they have had to go through it for 3 or 4 weeks. Sleeping outside, sleeping in an uncompleted building, and sleeping just there like that. Anybody at all could just get up there and decide that they're going to rape the girls or defile them. Anybody. And their parents perhaps are thinking, my child, my daughter, who I love so much, is in a hostel that is properly policed and they're getting good training. This is it. And I remember that in September 2019, when some people gathered at the Independence Square to complain about postings, because it doesn't make sense. If your child lives in Kumasi, you have no relations in Accra, and then the computer placement system puts you in Accra.
For a day.
How is that person for a day school? How is that person going to get accommodation? When we complained, they said it was being politicized. And of course, it was because NDC went to give food to some people there. And so the allegation was that people were bashed there. But this is a record of it.
Exactly.
These children, by no fault of theirs, have had to endure this. Let it sink in. If you have a 16, 17-year-old daughter who is sleeping outside like this, what kind of frame of mind would they have to even grab what is being taught to them in school?
That's true.
What kind of participation of patriotism do you expect from people like this, in spite of the fact that they are not paying anything for school? But this is where they are sleeping. The emotional trauma, the human right abuse. Look at it. And as if that's not enough, they live in that place with other tenants.
Oh, wow.
So there are people there who are raising their children on their own.
Yeah.
It's a compound house.
Wow.
And they live there with them. Who mixes students? I mean, so it's like you pick fresh criminals, juveniles, and you just put them, together with hardened criminals.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. I'm very livid about this, and this is happening at the Accra Wesley Girls. So, Mr. President, good morning to you. We love free SHS. I do, personally, and I've congratulated you about free SHS. But, Mr. President, I beg you, this should not be happening under your watch. Mr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, good morning to you, Honorable Minister. This should never ever be happening under your watch. Move in quickly and do the needful. Professor Kwesi Opoku Amankwa, this should never ever be happening under your watch. As an educationist, please move in and do. And I don't want any whitewashing from all the PR people at the Ministry of Education. We have had enough of it. We don't want whitewashing. These are your daughters. And the girls were terrified to speak, Crystal.
Yeah.
Yesterday, they refused to speak because somebody obviously had told them that if you speak, you will lose your admission.
That is true.
The girls were scared.
Ooh.
These are youngsters who are being told, don't tell anybody. If you tell and typical of the African child,
exactly.
they are scared.
Yeah, even though they may have some sort of protection after they've said it, still.
Don't tell anyone. And this is where they are sleeping. Let it sink in. This is where they're sleeping.
So what happens when it rains?
Well, when it rains,
during the Harmattan,
they move in. They move in, but you could see the mattresses lying outside.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the indicator for you. You saw the co-pot. They cook their own food.
Yeah.
So they go and find food. If they fetch water, and all of look at it.
No.
Look at where the girls are sleeping. Look at it. Look at it. It's like a slum. Look at it. Look at it. Take a look at it. Complete slum. And this is not politicization.
No.
Think about it.
It's just rational.
Think about it. And I always say, if you have a daughter or a son, you will think about it. If you have a nephew who is in second, you will think about it.
You wouldn't want to sleep in a
You
place
won't want
like
to
this.
sleep there. You will think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's not politicization. It is not. Think about it. It should never, ever, ever be happening. Never. Think about it. Think about it. Good morning to you all. And I want this to sink in. Mr. President, good morning. Professor Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, good morning. Professor Kwesi Opoku Amankwa, good morning to you. Cassandra, good morning to you. Eko Vincent, good morning to you. Move in and act and ensure. Dr. Eluchum, Deputy Minister for Education, good morning to you. And please ensure that no harm comes to the students. Please ensure and investigate this. The headmistress must tell you if she's aware or not. The teacher who got them the accommodation must tell you if he's aware or not. Everybody must answer. Everybody must answer why the girls are sleeping like that. And that is tainted the whole free SHS thing.
Yeah.
Because somebody would think that, well, free SHS is not properly structured.
Exactly. Even though people are making gains from that.
I am happy that free SHS came because people are going to school. But they can't go to school under these conditions. It is
what would
not
be their
proper.
Output?
So the CSSPS, the computer placement system, must be smart enough to know that if somebody is coming from Tamale and they are posting them to Kumasi and they do not have accommodation, it doesn't make sense to keep them there. When the parents come and complain, listen to them. And this is just in Accra. I can imagine what's happening in other parts of the country.
Because they have to go to school all the time.
Come on.
Wow.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Well,
don't do this.
They are future indeed.
Don't do this, please.
We need to check this ASAP.